And it's recording.
All right.
This thing might go off or turn off. It gives a little bit of light, but it might turn off after a few minutes. So if I stand up and turn it back on,
All right.
just keep talking.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you again for doing this. For the video, tell me your full name.
Reverend William H. Greason.
And your birthday?
September the 3rd, 1924 is my birthday.
All right. I'm a September guy too.
Yeah. Virgo. Yeah.
And where were you born?
I was born in Atlanta. That's my home, Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah. My family that's where my family lived. We started on the west side, moved to the north side.
Mm-hmm.
Went to school over there. David T. Howard, Booker T. Washington. Then after high school, I got a call from the Marines, 1943. They called us, and among some of the first blacks to be inducted into the Marine Corps, I was in the 66th platoon. So that's pretty early, because they got them 2,000 or something now. But that's where I got the call and went to Montford Point in North Carolina for basic training. And in 1945, I was in the invasion of Iwo Jima. And then after the Second World War, I re-upped. Didn't know there was going to be another so soon, but then the Korean War broke out and they called me back. But because I had played professional baseball and company commander loved baseball, he didn't let me go. So I stayed at the Montford Point with the Marines. We had a baseball team there. And spent a year or so there, and then they let me out. So I was in the Second World War and the Korean War. And, just an old man now. Yeah, it was a blessing though. I was proud to be among some of the first to be inducted into the Marine Corps.
That's amazing. That's
Because they hadn't started inducting blacks in at that time, but in the 66th platoon at Montford Point, later changed to Camp Lejeune. But we were at Montford Point in the woods and jungles down there. And there had to be at a place where it was conducive for Pacific operations, because that's where most of our action was, in the Pacific. And so I was there, and then I went to San Diego, left there and went to Iwo Jima, was there doing the invasion, and everything went off there. And we came back and re-upped. I think we went to Hilo, Hawaii. That's where we went back and started getting us back together, because we had over 20,000 casualties on that island. Over 7,000, 6 or 7,000 were killed. And it was an island 5 miles long, 3 miles wide at its widest point, with a volcano on one end of it, and there was not anything solid you could dig in. It was volcano ash. You use your tool and kick it out and roll back in. That's why a lot of Marines were killed. They couldn't dig in. And then they allowed us to come in about 200 or 300 yards. Then they had all those places fixed up for us. You get in that area, you're gonna get tore up. I was just blessed by God to have been able, because 2 of my best friends right around me were hit. And one of them instantly died, and the other one I helped carry to the beach. But I was able, God allowed me to get off of that island.
How long were you on Iwo Jima?
Well, we went on February 21st until February 45, until I think April or May.
Okay.
So it was from February until almost May. Because we were doing mostly, taking in the equipment and ammunition. We were kind of like what you call them, squads, supplies, depot.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's what we did mostly there, And if you happen to be caught out there, you had to take care of yourself. But that's what we did mostly. And
you always had to have your weapon on you.
oh yeah, it was dear. We had the M1. Don't have what they have now. The heaviest thing we had was a BA or a Browning automatic rifle shoot. I think it shoot about 20 rounds. But ours was 8-round job, Kick over, you got to reach in and put a note in and kick it home. And it was a blessing to have been a part of that great battle at Iwo Jima. And that's why I think President Obama was the one that recognized the few of us who were left. When I went to Washington for that, it was only about 400 left. And it dwindled down to maybe a couple of hundred. I don't know if it's that many left now.
Yeah.
But I just thank God I happened to be a part of it and to be a representative, and we did it with dignity and was recognized. We went back to get that Congressional Gold Medal, and we were able to meet the Commandant and some of the generals up there. There's some pictures up there in my office up there when we went back to Washington, and they recognized us at that time.
Congratulations. How many, back to your unit during the war, how many men were in it?
Well, you had about, four squads. 4 squads in a platoon.
Okay.
And each one of them had about 9 men plus a squad leader, about, 36, 38 men in a platoon.
Okay.
I was squad leader, second squad in our platoon.
Okay. What was your rank?
PFC.
Okay.
At that time, it was hard for blacks to get an officer's role.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there weren't any. You had master sergeants, but you didn't have any black officers at that time. Only after the war, and they started pulling them in, I guess it happened.
Yeah.
But it was hard to get a rank it in there. For one thing, you didn't live that long to get one, so that's what it was. I was a PFC, but I was a squad leader, and got a lot of respect from my men, because at the time I was young and energetic and gung-ho, so I got a lot of respect from my men.
How old were you at that point?
46, 24, about 22, 21, 22.
Okay.
Yeah, I was blessed to have gone in, and they saw something in me in our training, and made me a squad leader. And I had one of my best friends was squad leader, first squad. He was killed, and my best buddy.
What was his name?
Duvani. I think, I can't remember his first name, but it was Duvani. He was from New York, and we were just like that, trying to look out for each other. But a frag got him. Frag been hit him right here. And the Japanese had that island loaded with
Mines?
mines, and then they did a lot of rocketing. Those shells come, man, when they hit you, that's what happened with one hand. When those shells hit it and bore a hole in there. And the other one that got killed at that time, frags got him. When it exploded with fragments, you could see it on his face and everything. And those were my 2 best buddies. And that's the way it was. Your friendship didn't last long because you didn't live long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any close calls?
Oh yeah, on Ewo, yeah, a whole while I was there, I was close. And then, being the squad, you had to do guard duty too. And they told us no firing, use your bayonet. And you walking, can't see nothing, can't even see your hand. But I had a clip in my rifle. If I say halt, who goes there, and tell them what the password was. If I say apples and you said a truck, I knew that wasn't it because it was fruit for that time. So you had to say. So I was gonna run up with the bayonet. Got a little short. We did have the long ones, but the Japanese had bayonets with hook on there that they could break yours. So they started giving us shorter ones. But I said, you know, somebody, I said, halt, who goes there and you don't say the right thing, I'm gonna have to burn you. But I was blessed, I didn't have to do that to anybody, and I thank God for it. Those lives are just lives, whoever it is, people are people, you know. But you're at a war. If my life was in jeopardy, I got to take you out if I can. But other than that, you know, I'm just glad I didn't have that on my record.
When you arrived at Iwo Jima, was it during the first 1 or 2 waves, or
No, we went about 2 days later.
Because you were with the supply.
Yeah, supply. And see, when the first wave or two, they were able to get in about 200 yards. The Japanese allowed them to get in. Huh?
Not very far.
No, they get in about 200 yards, and then they started those mortars. They had looked like they made little square spaces where they just boom, boom, boom. If you in there, that's you. And some of them were hit by rifle bullets, you know. But first ones I saw was one sitting up in like this with his rifle, bullet hole right there. Japanese, boom. But it was a great experience. We went in and we had to unload, get equipment, material and weapons and everything off those ships. And me being a squad leader, I was in a pretty good position of, you know, directing.
Yeah.
And it was a blessing to have been there.
Was there a moment during that time or sometime later during your service that really stands out as one of your more memorable experiences?
Oh yeah, when they Mount Suribachi, where they raised the flag. The first one was a little small,
yeah,
wasn't big enough, but then I guess one of them up there had a larger one. And when they started raising it, somebody had a trumpet or something, and we heard, you know, and so it got our attention to look up there, and that was a tremendous sight to see. But that was not the end of that battle. That was just a part of it, because I think 6 Marines went up there to get it up there the second time, and only 3 of them survived it. But we were happy to see it. But you had the other part of that island that you had to deal with, and some of the other Marines and other companies who were closer to where all the action were. They said after they said the island was secure, that they had turned their rifles in, but the Japanese had a little spot over there where they hid, and 200 or 300 Marines were killed because they didn't have.
They had so many tunnels and everything.
Yeah. But it was a great experience to have been able to be a part of that. And,
I know it was one of the bloodiest battles in the war.
Oh yeah, Iwo Jima. Yeah, it was something else. They had 3 divisions there. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th division. We were attached to the 4th. And they had I believe they had the heaviest casualties. 3rd Marine, the 5th. And we went in on a hot spot. And after they got there, I've been there for a day or so. Then we had to get off and start bringing that equipment and stuff in, you know. And so we were gung-ho young, you know, and ready to go. And we wanted to get up there and do some shooting too, but we had to get that stuff off. And we realized afterward it was a blessing, you know, to be able to bring in the supplies for those who were there. But that was a terrible sight. We got ready to leave, it was terrible. All of the graves that they used to bulldoze and pull out a thing and wrap them in, what you call them, what they call those coverings. In the way they wrapped them in them, and some of them were stacked on top. And they covered them up, but they got the dog tags, and that's how they, a lot of those crosses you see, it may not be who you think it is, because they just dug out a trench. There were so many of them that they couldn't put one here and one there, but they put somebody here, maybe two. Yeah, it was a great thing. I volunteered during the Korean War. I was playing baseball and I was being scouted heavily. And I volunteered to go to Korea. And they called me back. But my CO said, "You angry, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, sir. Marine is no good when he's angry. Get out of my office." I went out. So about a week or so later, I went back again. "Sir, I'd like to volunteer to go to Korea." Instead of putting me out, he put me in the mess hall for 30 days over the galley, where I had to make sure all the trays and utensils and things were clean. Had to get up early in the morning, and we'd be through in the afternoon, so we'd have the rest of the afternoon off. But I did that year, and they found out that I played baseball and asked me to become a part of the Camp Lejeune team. I don't know, it's a picture somewhere up there. Some of the guys, Camp Lejeune, that I played with. And I put in that extra time, and then they wanted me to re-up. I said, "Not hard, man." And I was being scouted at that time. You know, they began to take blacks into the different leagues. And some guy there was from Oklahoma, saw me pitch, and he called on in Oklahoma City. And when I got out, they were waiting on me to come out there, and that's who I started with, Oklahoma City Indians.
So tell me more about baseball. How'd you get started playing?
Oh,
Very beginning.
Sandlot at home, you know. We had fields where we would play, and you'd be around guys, and we would play with the ball to see how you could twist it and turn it, and you know. And didn't have no regular parks, you know. We got in a field somewhere, and that's where I got started. And it was a gift. Mine was a gift. God, nobody taught me. I observed other fellas, and I tried. Pretty soon I was able to do something with that ball, to make it do a few tricks, you know. And somebody saw me and asked me about playing on the Sandlot team there. And I did. I played, pitched a couple of times, and pretty soon the Birmingham Black Barons came through. The year I went there, I went to Asheville, North Carolina. I played up there during the spring, and Birmingham Black Barons came through there on an exhibition game, and I pitched against them, and I did pretty good. That was on a Monday night. That Sunday morning, I was in Birmingham.
Really?
I said, "What I get out of this?" Nothing. It didn't give me anything, because I was just happy to have been able to play. I felt if I played, I'd become good enough to get something. But we never did get much. I didn't, when I'm playing ball. That's why in the ministry, same thing. I started with this church. Went 23 years without a raise. I didn't argue. I knew God called me into the ministry, and I wasn't worried about the money, because when I was saved on Iwo Jima, I promised the Lord if he saved me, anything he wanted me to do, I would do it. And my wife at that time was working at the drugstore. And I told her, I turned down, so I just said, are you crazy? But I said, just take it easy. But God enabled us to live a nice, quiet life. Just the two of us. So we weren't, neither one of us were greedy about anything. We were just happy to be together and to be alive. We stayed together 65 years. Started out in a little 2-bedroom house with a living room and a kitchen. And later on, we added a couple of rooms. Of course, I made one of them my study. A lot of my books are my library. Right over there is my library too. You'll see it before you go. But my wife and I were champs. And this business of baseball and everything else, it was a gift from God. And I still give him the glory for it. Now, I've been here at this church now almost 50 years. That's a long time.
It is.
Yeah, we started on the south side. Montford Point Baptist Church used to have this building.
Yeah.
And they moved over there on Green Springs, somewhere back over there. And we met a guy. He was a white guy. He said, I believe you ought to be interested in this building. Came over and took a look at it 2 or 3 times, and they gave us a price that started out with $2 million. Are you kidding? We can have a brand new building put up for that. So finally got it down where we could take care of it, and we purchased this building. We had a big fire here. And
I think I heard that.
yeah, they redid it. Somebody was waking up on the top floor and I got a call and said, you better come over to church. When I turned the corner, I saw blaze shooting off the roof. Some guy had been working up there, and I don't know whether it was done intentional or what, but kept us out 2 or 3 years. But we set up over in that fella right there, another set up over in the gym. Of course, they had another group in this part of the building, and we would go in on Sundays. We come over on Friday night and set up. After service on Sunday, we'd take down so they could come in. And it was a blessing, and we blessed a lot of people. A lot of people were saved. And our church family has been something else. You look around, you can see how some of them, I'm talking, you do some talking.
I'm just taking it in. It's
but it's been a blessing.
good to hear.
Yeah, it's been a blessing for me to have been here with them, and we have supported organizations during the holidays. We give baskets. We have given out over 70 or 80 baskets for Christmas. Put a turkey in there and a ham, not just a little something. I mean, those baskets were worth
full dinner. Huh?
Yeah, $40, $50. And we did that for many years, up until the last couple of years. I think we saw that a lot of people were getting stuff that didn't need it, and we wanted to help other people. But God blessed us to be here with him, and this fella here started with us on the south side. He used to work at Baptist bookstore. He became assistant manager. He stayed with them for about, how many years was you with bookstore? 40?
45.
I'm just saying about it. Made mention of you. Yeah, all right, 45. Yeah, and we became good friends over there. He used to be out on Sundays working on, mess around with his car. Don't go out, son. Come on back. I must speak well of you.
He's interviewing you.
But he's my best friend. He'd be working on the car today. Hey, come on, worship with him. So finally, he decided to come and be with him and faithful. Now he's chairman of the trustees. Works well, and helping to see that things are together, the building is kept up and everything. He and another fellow do a great job. So if you have something in mind, let me know what you're gonna do and do it now. I surrender. Yeah, almost 50 years with them. It's been a blessing. But this is what they put up for me.
How long has this been here?
Pretty good while, a few years. We've had young people for Minneapolis came down a couple of, they were here last year. Came and looked here. We had a guy who was one of the first black narcotic agents. His stuff is up there. We got one of the black officers there and police officer over there. And nurse or two up there. It's been something. And we've been blessed here, and we try to be a blessing to this community, help people. I've been to a couple of schools, Birmingham Baptist Bible College and Central University. They gave me a little piece of paper and put me out, so I've been blessed. Now,
do you have any children?
one daughter, she's in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grandkids?
Two boys.
All right.
No, I got a boy and a girl, and she's got two boys.
Okay.
Yeah, daughter had. Yeah, I've been blessed. My daughter, tremendous blessing. She used to come on Sunday sometime over here to be with us. But now our service goes out and she's able to pick it up. I don't know how they do it. I said, I don't want to know about nothing but the Word of God. That's all I want to know about, the Word of God. And all this other stuff like Tom helping you to set this up. Don't tell me. I'm preparing for Sunday to deliver a message Sunday. So you all do the rest, whatever else is,
Yes, it's just another way to get the word out to more people.
Oh yeah, well, we've been blessed, and I don't know, they've set it up. Well, people can get it some kind of way, and quite a few of our members hear it on Sunday. And I'm just thankful that they know all about this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a son to me. In fact, I put him in the wheel that I got, take care of the house and whatever's left. But he's been a blessing to us and to this church. He and another fellow, I want to see, but another fellow, Michael Hope, those two, did that collage there. At the bottom, you see me pulling on Willie Mays' cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were a teammate of his with the Black Barons?
Yeah, we started together. Still friends. He's in California.
Okay.
Yeah, we started out together, and yeah.
And so I understand you haven't said much about it, but you played minor leagues in Oklahoma, plus
I went to Columbus,
you
Ohio,
went to
Rochester.
You went to the big leagues.
Cardinals. 54.
The Cardinals.
Yeah, 1954. I didn't stay long because I didn't act right.
Didn't act right.
No, I didn't, at the time I didn't want to. I was having a great year at Rochester. And they called me. Were they Rochester, Columbus? Johnny King. Yeah, no, I was at Columbus in 54. I didn't much want to go. There's a picture somewhere of us right around here. And they were getting ready to send me up there. I told them I didn't want to go. It was the middle of the season. And the Cardinals went winning. And the manager was a Southerner. And I'm a black boy. Eddie Stakey was the manager. And I don't know, it just didn't bother me. I made it. That's all that mattered.
Yeah.
Whether I stayed for 15 or 20 years, I was good enough to make it to the majors, and that's all. That's what I was aiming for. I was blessed to go to St. Louis Cardinals, Eddie Stanky. I played for Harry Walker and brother Dixie Walker up in Rochester. And, Harry called me an arrogant SB. An arrogant SB. What are you talking about? You know, I just, you talk hard to me, I talk back to you. You know, you cuss me, and I curse. You cuss me, I curse you. And he thought I was supposed to just, you know, take over that was said. But I tried, I stayed down here. I just didn't approve of you misusing me and saying words to me that I wouldn't say to you. So I wanted you to feel what I felt. You called me something, I called you something. But everything worked out well with us. And, I didn't have any fallouts with anybody. We respected one another, and that's the way it was all of my baseball career. I played 6 years in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Roberto Clemente, Ruben Gomez,
Wow.
Sam Jones, and Harry Cheedy. With Santurce, I played 6 years down there. We won the Caribbean Series, went to Venezuela and won all of it. We had a team that Willie Mays and Bob Thurman and all those guys.
I think most people aren't aware of that. Don't talk about it a whole lot, but
No,
a lot of great players went through there.
Oh yeah, Puerto Rico. Yeah, I was blessed. God gave this gift to me because my family was not poor. It was P.O.
Oh.
Pope. Pope. Yeah, it was my family was Pope. And even my brother who just died, he left school one year to work at a store, grocery store, and that helped us to have food. And, you know, my mom, great woman, great lady. She taught us humility. Stay down. So blessings don't go up, they come down. And we learned that, and I learned that, you know, I didn't care what people called me when I played baseball, being on the black on the team, they called me all kinds of names, you know. And I just smiled. Sometimes I tip my cap and go, I don't have to be what you called me. I know who I am. And my mom taught me that, you know, that you stay humble, God will take care of you. And in that little room right there, I didn't get her picture. That's my wife, Owen, and my dad. Yeah, my mom's picture up there. And my mom and dad in that swing. Yeah. So I've been blessed. And of course, they invited me to Oklahoma City to induct me into the Hall of Fame out there.
Yeah, I watched the video where you were being interviewed for that.
Yeah, that was a blessing. That's when I was young.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't consider, you know. I still hear from the guys out there in Oklahoma, broke the color line out there, first black to play for Oklahoma, and there was only one other in the league. Dave Hoskins was with Dallas. And we met in a game, and they hadn't been drawing but 200 or 300 people. That day that we went to pitch against each other, over 11,000 people
Really?
came to that ballpark.
I bet that was exciting.
Oh
to see.
yeah, the good part was I beat him. He got me later, but I got it that day. Yeah, so I've been blessed. All of this stuff is Tom and Mike got together to set up this museum. The office, did you look at that place now? That was like my office. Of course, the one upstairs or something. Yeah. I'm doing it all the time.
Okay, I'm going to turn this.